Let's take a look at some conceptual massing. Mostly in this example, it's to give you an idea what you can do with generating surfaces that are walls and curved surfaces that aren't coming from actual the use of the tool, the wall tool or the glazing tool, but from a carving of a piece of raw geometry and then dividing it off. So in this case, we start out with a block. We create some kind of a shape and extrude it, and we carve into it to curve, and then we apply the walls and other surfaces to it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one off and open up a new document. So I'm going to close this, and I won't save any changes to that. And I've created a mass start file, and I'll put that up on Blackboard for us. And that's going to allow us a place to work. If I was to click into this to show you how big this is, it's a 500-foot piece of floor surface by 800 feet. And it gives us a good place to start building. So let's just snap over, zip over to a 3D view. Let me pull this on so it shows a little better. So I'll go to the 3D view and unhighlight the floor. And right away we're going to make a conceptual mass, just a block to start with. I say conceptual mass, but we're just working in a generic model mode. So we'll go ahead. Let me go through that again. I sometimes do this too quickly. Let me cancel out of that. We're going to go to Component. We're going to go to Model in Place. And we're going to select a generic model. And the screen is not all the way on for you. And we're really not concerned about its name at this point. We're really not tracking the elements that we're creating. And we'll start with an extrusion. And we're working in 3D model space, so it'll probably start building it on level 1. Yep. And let's start with a rectangle. I'll build out a rectangle basically about 150 feet. And I'll make that exactly 150 feet by 150 feet. And we'll click Done. Now we have a little flat surface. I'll go ahead and just pull that up. And you can see actually, well it did, now it doesn't seem to be, there it is. Highlighting to level connected to level 1. And I could actually just lock it there and that'll kind of behave parametrically. So let's go, let's finish that model off. And we'll go to a south elevation so we can take a look at this from the front view. And obviously it's a short little mass, so we're going to change this level. Let's go ahead and change that to 150 feet so we have actually a cube. And I'll do zoom extent so we can see everything we've got here. And you notice because I locked the top of that cube to the top, it's now expanded out to that. So let's go ahead and duplicate this cube over. So I'm going to select the cube. I'm going to use the copy and move tool. I'll just grab it somewhere and just move it over randomly. And then I'll show you what we have. We'll go to a 3D view. So the idea now is we're going to build a shape on the front of this and then pull it back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Shift key in the center mouse button and rotate in here so we can draw on the front face of this. And then I'm just going to zoom in. And we're going to go back to our architecture tool, component, model in place. And we're going to go and make a generic model. And we want to do an extrusion. And this time we want to build on the face of our block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the working plane. And I'm going to set it. And I'm going to use the pick plane tool. That'll allow us to pick that front surface. And I'm going to click on it. And I've selected it. And now I'm going to start drawing on it. And just as I had done before, we're going to make some random structural elements here, or random construction elements. Let's pull this out, I guess. You see we get some hinting. Kind of tells us when we're somewhat lined up with things. And so I've completed a full, all the lines touch. If you try to complete this off and they don't, you might have to go in and make sure that you don't have any places where your elements aren't joining up well with each other. So I'll go ahead and click off of that, and now we have a a three-dimensional flat object on that plane. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that back. I'm going to grab this little arrow tool here that I happen to know is the way to move it in that direction, just from my comfort, I guess, working with it visually. We'll look at that on the site plan so that I can pull that back until it touches that back edge. And we can finish that model off. Actually, one of the things that's wrong with it is the front edge is just, it built it up above it, so we could actually just pull it back until it's clean to that. And that's not really critical, but now that thing is buried inside of there somewhere. Let's go back to the site plan. Yeah, you can't actually see it in the 3D view. So I'm going to go ahead now and just delete this cube, the exterior one, because we don't need it. And there's our shape. Well, first thing we want to do is actually give it that curved front that we'd started to design. So let's go ahead and edit this in place. So I'm going to double click on it. We're now in an editing in place mode, and we want to create that cylinder as an extrusion. But actually, I'm going to cancel that a minute. We want to create, we're still editing this element. We're in the edit in place mode, but I want to create a void form, not another object. So I'm going to select that. It'll be a void extrusion. Same tools here, except now we're working in the void, the removal concept state, and we use void extrusion, and we get the same tools. I want to set that to draw that circle on this bottom plane. So I'm going to use the set plane, pick a plane. We use the bottom of the model, so I need to probably just tab here. I'm getting it close, and then I'll just tab until I have a bottom plane surface and click on it. And then we'll go ahead and draw a circle. So I'm going to pick the circle tool, and I'm going to place a radius and pull it out. Make it, well, let's say right around 100 feet. I'll leave it at whatever it is. I'll complete that out, and we need to stretch that up. Make sure, and you can see where it hits that level up there, that level line is highlighting, so we even go beyond that a little bit. And now I want to go to the site view, because you can see our circle that we've created is not intersecting yet, and I just want to pull that in until it does. And then go ahead, finish model. Let's go ahead and see what I've done wrong here. I don't think I've done anything wrong with its airing out. Let's see, maybe we're not deep enough into the modeling environment here. Alright, nope. One step out. Let's go ahead now and create our void form. I'm going to just do this again. I'm sorry, I don't know what went wrong there. Pull this up. And there it seemed to cut at that time. I don't exactly know. I think it was the way it was intersecting the object. So I did the exact same steps over. But what I really want to do is I'm just going to step back one more time from completing that till we get that appearance of the circle again. I'm going to stretch that up, and we're going to go back up to the site plan view, and I'm just going to move that circle over again, and finish that off. And we got this little thing sticking out here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Oh, it's just like it's not tall enough. So if we go back in and edit this, I can actually grab, if I just get it to the right location, I can grab that, and I can just continue to pull that up a little bit higher, and it'll trim off all the elements. So now we have, let me just hold down the shift key and the center mouse button. Now we've started to curve, put a little bit of curvature in the front of that. So now we're really at the easy part of this. We want to change this form now into walls and other elements. So I'm going to grab the architectural wall tool, and I'm going to grab wall by face. And in this one I've created two pieces of generic wall that are just white color and dark color. So let's go ahead now and pick a few faces. I'll pick just about every face I can grab here easily. It won't allow me to do that horizontal surface because it's probably too floor-like, but I can grab these inside walls. And If I click on this one, this is actually an interesting one. You'll notice that it does an error. It makes a whole wall out of it. It doesn't seem to be able to understand the curved geometry and the other cutout shape at the same time. So I'm just going to undo that one. And I'm going to click out of this. And I still want to create a surface on there. And let me go ahead and zoom in here. And Revit has another tool for this. And it's up here. It's the curtain system. And the idea here is we're going to divide this off into a panel system. And if I hold this down long enough, you'll see a little window that pops up and it shows you the concept. The ability to take that kind of curve face. It's really not that complex one. It actually should be able to do it because it's completely vertical. But we're going to use that tool to divide that off. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to make sure I pick that face. And once I've done it, I say create system. And this will take a few seconds for it to go ahead and divide off all those lights. And then we have a paneled system. So I want to finish this off, so it's not too laborious. And the last thing I want to do then is actually really just hide that, hide this mass element that's behind. So I'm just going to grab till it starts to select something that's close, and then hit the tab key until I can find the whole mass element. And I'm having a hard time here. Oh, that's because I'm still in the create system. See, I've still got the green bar. I wasn't even paying attention here. So I'm going to go create system so that finishes that off. And then I'm going to go back to modify. And now out in that, I don't even think I needed to undo the create system. I think I just needed to get back to the modify button. And I'll just tab this until I can grab that. And I'm going to right click on that. And I'm going to hide that element, the generic model in view, so that it doesn't show. And actually, I want to temporarily show it because I haven't put a top cap up here. So let's go ahead and do a couple things. I'm going to delete this one because it's a white wall surface, and I want to make that dark. And I'm going to temporarily, using the little light bulb here, reveal hidden elements. And I'm going to go back to the wall tool, wall by face, and select the dark surface that we have, and then go ahead and pick those two top surfaces. And then I'll go click the modify and I'll turn the light bulb off. And then we have two top dark surfaces on that. And I'll hold the shift and mouse button and we can roll around and we can see how we started to create those kind of elements for the building. And the last thing I wanted to do is really just let's get an elevation view, just so we could see what it looks like, or not an elevation, just a camera view. So I'm going to grab the view and the camera, and I'm just going to be the guy on the street shooting back at our building. I'll zoom out and adjust the cropping a little bit so we can see the full extent of our structure and get a feeling for what it looks like at grade. And we can then apply the R template for rendering it, so we get a little sky and shadow and light. And we still have that mass element showing, so what I need to do is tab in here until I can grab it out. Right click, hide in view by element. And there we have, let me just rotate this around here a little bit. It's not award-winning architecture, but it does convey the idea of using these tools. So now we have walls that are not vertical. We have a curvilinear grid system with a complex set of divisions to it. Really quite a powerful tool to take a form and create a building structure out of it. So have at trying your own personal expression with this idea.